As long as they can breathe and show up to work on time, they're gonna get a job. That is 100% true, but eventually we're gonna get to a point that that's gonna need a little bit more. Or if you're looking for that next wage up, you're gonna need that little bit more. And so having a construction combine class like we offer, it's all online. It takes them through everything that they need to know to walk onto a job.
What a paper that's mostly, you're gonna see more high school, right? But what I do want to show is that most of the time, this region actually has a higher percentage of job postings that do require a bachelor's degree or higher. 2020, again, you see 60% of them only require high school. But if you think about what happened, it was a lot of leisure and hospitality industries that closed down, came back, and had no one to serve the people that were now coming to get.
For exploration and how to teach that. So stay tuned on that. Does anyone in here teach?
It's always been that way since there was created. But that's right back to 2 years ago when we no longer have award letters, we have offer letters. Because we are not making those awards, we're only offering that to you. So I know this is welcome to my world. I know you guys would love this. It only gets better from here. The cost of attendance, which this is probably not anything you're really going to see because there's not a school that actually. They reinstated the Pell Grant for incarcerated students, so we have across the nation. They took the Second Chance Pell pilot program and expanded it to every school that wants to participate. They do not have to participate, it's not required. They actually have to apply to participate. LCSC and U of I currently are the only two schools in this. All of these things like were wrapped around that number, but ultimately everybody knew it as an estimated family contribution because that's what it said on the ICER. The ICER was the summary, that lovely sheet that you have many pages that students were like, well, what does this mean? All it means is that these are the answers you put on the FAFSA, and they took all those answers and said, here you go, this is what you can contribute, this is what your potential eligibility is, all that, blah, blah, blah. And they kept so-called reducing the questions that they were asking families on the FAFSA. Now, that may be true. If you go back a few years and count the questions, I think there was like, I don't know, 80 or so. Now you get closer and closer to this year and there's like 40 or something. All that does is it shifts the burden. So the families are answering less questions. However, the verification and clarification of that information is being transferred to the student level or the school level. So now we have to, and I'll give you an example for this coming up 23-24, but right now. So before, and I know you guys have all heard the dreaded process about verification where I gave them all my tax information. I put that on the fax, so why do I have to keep on doing this and all this? They call me a liar and like all that. No, of course not. It's just that there's a sidebar of regulations that we have to follow after you do that simplified FAFSA. So they keep doing that, and they've done it even more. That's like the platform that every politician, I think, has stood on for like the last 10 years. I don't believe that it's any simpler because it's just a shift of when you have to get mad at me, whether it's at the beginning or whether it's at the end. Attached to whether or not.
Originally, I don't know if any of you remember way back in January when Governor Little spoke to the legislature and gave his State of the State, he introduced this Idaho launch. He called it a scholarship. It was going to be $8,500 for every student, every high school student to use for whatever training they wanted. Then when the bill came out, it's House Bill 24, in the bill's wording, in the original one, it eliminated the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship. So gets rid of Idaho Opportunity Scholarship as well as the Post-Secondary Credit Scholarship. That scholarship is it's not as well known or well used because it's confusing. It's that matching scholarship. Yeah, so it got rid of both of those. Gave $8,500 to every high school graduate who wanted to go and pursue an in-demand career as determined by the Workforce Development Council. So, there was a lot of debate around this bill, right? On all sides, lots of concerns about what does in demand mean, who's gonna determine that, how is this all gonna work? So, what happened was, a trailer bill was introduced. I learned what a trailer bill was this year. A trailer bill is basically kind of a companion bill. It's an amendment to the original bill. And the trailer bill kind of put on, they kept calling it like guardrails, like a lot of the legislators had concerns about there not being a lot of oversight for the original bill, with Workforce Development Council being in charge of all this money and determining who gets it and who doesn't. Kind of like what you all were just saying, and what Doug was just saying about, like, he thinks it's weird how some students get approved for launch and then others don't. Like, it was a lot of concerns about that. So, the trailer bill keeps Idaho Opportunity Scholarship exactly the way that it is, but only for students pursuing a four-year degree, going to a four-year institution, is how I should say that. Because we all know we have lots of students who start at 2 years and then transfer, but an Idaho Opportunity Scholarship can only be given to a student who is going directly to a four-year. The Idaho Launch Dollars then will go to students who are pursuing workforce training, 2-year community college, certificates, anything less than that 4-year. Now I know probably you're gonna ask, can a student use both?